Hello everyone, this is Lamin Sane of LS Web Apps, and in today's video I present to you a brand new tutorial series entitled Laravel Simple Blogging Tutorial with Twitter Bootstrap. Okay, so we're going to build a blogging platform which uses Twitter Bootstrap for styling. So without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so here I am in a folder on my computer, and what I'm going to do is create a new installation of Laravel using the command composer create project, and we're going to prefer the distribution Laravel /Laravel, and I want to install it in the folder Laravel 5 blog.dev. So what that's going to do is create a new Laravel application in that folder. So I'll press enter, and I'll just let the command run. It's going to take a while, so I'll pause the video here and continue when it's done. Now that Laravel has been installed, I'm going to enter that directory using cd laravel blog.dev, and then we need one more package to carry on with this tutorial series, which is the HTML package by Laravel Collective, which is no longer packaged with Laravel course, hence the reason why we need it. So we're going to install that using composer require Laravel Collective /HTML. So what that's going to do is add this package to our package.json file and then install it in our vendors folder. Okay, so I'll let that run as well. Now that that has been installed, I'm going to open this folder in my text editor. I am using Atom, so I'll do atom // and what that's going to do is open my application folder in the Atom text editor. Okay, let's configure our application so that it can use those packages properly. Okay, so go to the config app.php file, search for providers. That brings us to the providers array, and at the end there we're going to have to add one class there. Okay, and the class we have to add is collective and HTML and HTML service provider :class. Okay, so next let's go to the aliases array here. We're going to add two facades, the form facade and the HTML facade. So we say collective HTML and form facade :class. Let's duplicate that, and instead of form now I'm gonna have to say HTML. Okay, so we save that. All right, so next we're gonna have to create our database, but before we do that, let's go to our browser and then verify that the application is properly configured. Okay, so back in the browser, I'm going to go to the virtual host that I created for the application, which lives at Laravel 5 blog.dev. Okay, so we go to that and we get a server error, right? So seems that we do not have the appropriate folders writable. So I'm going to do chmod 755. So what that does is it makes the storage folder and the bootstrap folders writable. So we're going to do bootstrap cache. Basically, according to the Laravel docs, you have to make those two folders writable. That is the bootstrap cache folder and the storage folder as well. So I'll do a chmod, and yeah, so now let's go back to our browser, refresh. Still not working, so let's make it recursive. I'll do a sudo and enter my password. All right, so now let's go back to the browser and we refresh, and as you can see, our application is properly installed. Okay, so next let's install or add a new database for our application. So I'll open up my database program, which I use is SQL Pro, and I'll create a new database and I'll call it Laravel 5 blog. So I'll copy that name, and that's all you need to do to create a new database with this program. So once that's done, I'll go to my environments file here. Guys, your database configuration is done in config database.php, and with the new Laravel 5 installation, you are given a MySQL connection by default, and the MySQL host database username and password, they try to load your configuration from the .environment file, and if that doesn't exist, they give you defaults of localhost, forge, and empty space. But since that exists, we're going to configure the .env file so that it loads everything from there, right? So as you can see, the DB host is localhost, so leave that as it is. The DB name is the one we newly created, so it's Laravel 5 blog, and my username is root, and my password is I'll just type that in. Okay, so once that's done, let's create our post migration. So we'll go to the terminal. We're gonna create migrations for the posts since we're doing blog, so we're gonna need a table for post. Okay, so we're going to do PHP artisan make migration, and we're going to call it create post table. Okay, but what that's going to do is create a new migration file, and we're going to have to configure that migration file. So migration files live in the database folder, migrations, and as you can see, create posts table. It has created that new migration file for us. So let's create our schema. So let's do schema colon create. When you're creating a new table, you call the create static function on the schema class, and we're going to give it the table that we want to create, and another function which gives us a handler, a blueprint handler that we can use to create the table. Okay, so let's say table, and we're going to need an ID, so we say increments. And guys, if all this is not clear, go and watch my beginner tutorial on Laravel, which just goes through the Laravel concepts. Okay, so we're going to need an ID. Next, we're going to need a table column of type string, which is the same as varchar or variable character, and it's going to be title of the post. Let's duplicate that. So we're going to need text type, which is like a longer version of string, which is going to be for the body of the post. And last but not the least, we're going to need timestamps. Timestamps basically just created at and updated at columns for your table, right? So we're going to put timestamp there. All right, so finally, let's just do the reverse of what we did here. Since we created a table post, in the down function here, we're going to have to drop the schema there. All right, so drop, and then what do we want to drop? We want to drop the post table that we created up there. All right, so let's create the migration table. As you can see, let's look at our database right now. There are no tables in the database, but when we do PHP artisan migrate install, it should create a migration table in our database. So I'll press enter for that. Now let's go back to our database. I'll refresh. As you can see, we have a migrations table being created. So basically, this migrations table here just keeps track of where which migrations you have run and which have yet to be run. Okay, so next I am going to actually run the migration which we created, which is this file here. So the way you do that is PHP artisan migrate. So when I do that, it's going to run our migration. And since there are two other migrations files by default in a new Laravel application, it's going to run those two as well. So we should see 2 or 3 extra tables. So as you can see, this post table is the one we created, and we have a passwords resets and a users table as well. So, but we don't need those, so we're just going to ignore those. Alright, so that brings us to the end of this first tutorial video for this series, which is Laravel simple blog with a Bootstrap. Now that we have set up our application, let's dive even deeper and see how we can start creating posts. Alright, so I'll see you soon in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.